Okay, let me point out the things about parageable question. So when we talk about parageable question, so the first question, what is parageable question? So parageable questions are nothing but a kind of a theta based question in CAT exams, right? Now, what is parageable? Namaste. Okay, so that's what I am telling here, that parageable questions are the kind of a questions. So it's a theta based question in CAT exams. Second question is what is parageable question? Parageable questions are nothing but the author's idea, which is taken from any of the passages, right? So and after taking that means part of that passage, right? Maybe beginning of it, or maybe middle of it, or maybe at the end of it, right? So, and then after it has been segregated or separated into four or five sentences, right? Or part of the sentences, not like sentence, four or five part of the sentences, or you can say that four sentences from the paragraph, isn't it? Then it is presented before the readers or the candidates or called as learners to make them arranged, right? So obviously in the beforehand it is jumbled, right? And the readers or the learners have been given the instruction to make them order, isn't it? Now, when we go for the parageable questions, so what kind of a problem students face? Students face the problems that are known as a what? Means how to erase them, because they are not familiar with the topic. First, second, it's called as the kind of a jargon term, arcane jargon, right? Which are very difficult to interpret, right? Third, it's called as means grammatical knowledge. So these are the variety of things which are essential for the candidates to orderly form the jumbled sentences. Now in that case, a student must have a good command over English language. Second is called as he or she should know the different tricks or strategy that should have applied in the jumbled sentence question, isn't it? Third is called as it also indicates some criticality, critical reasoning, right? So, in that case, let's go to the first one. Means, when we look at the CAT perspective or CHAT exams perspective, we find out means in CAT we made two jumbled sentence question and two odd one out questions, isn't it? Now, what is jumbled sentence question? Now you need to arrange them, and they don't carry negative marking. So it has given a box where you need to type the sequence. Therefore, it is known as a theta based question. Okay, now the minimum sentences that we find out in jumbled sentences are called as four, right? Not more than that. Am I clear? So, and those four sentences we need to arrange them. In odd one out question, we find out five, right? And five sentences. Out of that, if you find out that four sentences must be arranged, and so that we can find out the fifth sentence, which is the odd one from the family, isn't it? That odd sentence we need to type in the box given below. Clear my point? Now, if you look at the CHAT, right, or other exams and math, so there you would find out maximum sentences would be 6, minimum sentence would be 4, right? So in MICA also you would find out the same, right? But in MICA you would find out numerous options are given. So it's a choice based question. So numerous options are there. Maybe called as a 4, or maybe called as a 6, maybe called as a 8. 8 choices are given in jumbled sentences, right? So choices, sentences 4, but choices would be 8, right? Now, what are the strategies that we supposed to follow so that we will able to handle the jumbled sentence question? The first thing you need to keep in your mind that you first read the sentences. Why you read the sentences? So that you get a general idea that what this jumble sentence question asks us to do, isn't it? Now you read the first sentence, right? So and try to determine what the first sentence tries to tell me, what this first sentence is all about, what is the key word that means I need to point out in the first sentence, isn't it? Second sentence, you read it. Third sentence, you read it. Fourth sentence, you read it, and you follow the same approach, right? That what that each sentence tries to tell me, what is the key word that has given in the sentence, right? Next is called as you understood this sentences that this jumble sentences are is taken from nothing but a kind of a topic called as sociology, philosophy, or psychology based passages, right? Or psychology based passages from where this sentences has been taken. Second is called as you need to think of means after getting to know about the text and pointing out the key word given in each of the sentence, then you follow the next one. The next one is called as means identifying introductory indicator. What do you mean by identifying introductory indicator? The meaning of introductory indicator that whether the sentence, right, could be an introducing sentence or not. How do you determine the sentence is an introducing one or not? Now we need to carry some of the words or phrases, right, or other thoughts that help us to draw that a sentence is an introductory one or a concluding one or a middle one, or it presents means the same idea or it presents the opposite idea, isn't it? Now if I find out that the sentence is an introductory one, then I need to see that whether the sentence begins with certain words or certain phrases. What are those certain words and phrases? Like you can point out means at present, isn't it? At present, or you talk about that in the beginning, right? Or you can find out once upon a time, right or not? Or you can say that at present, right? Or you talk about means at first, right? Or firstly, isn't it? Now these are the words or phrases which help us to determine that the sentence would be the introductory one. Even any sentence that begins with a or the can be also focused for what means introductory sentence. This is the first one, right? So, but it is not mandatory. It is not compulsory that the sentence begins with these are the words will be the introductory one, right? Why? Now because maybe the passage is taken, maybe the paragraph is taken beginning of the passage or middle of the passage or at the end of the passage, right? So in that case, if it is taken in the beginning of the passage, then definitely it has the introductory one, right or not? So second is called as once you find out that introductory passage, then try to see that means whether that is the first one. Second one is called as to identify that whether my sentence has means what we can say that noun or pronoun relationship approach. This is called as a second one, which is also help us to what? Now draw that any sentence begins with noun can be also introductory one. Right or not? Let's say that if you talk about editors are not likely to grumble about a missing adjective. Right? Editors are not likely to grumble. Right? Now in that case the sentence begins with the editors. So which is a noun? Am I clear or not? Now in that case it could be the beginning of the sentence. Okay. So in that case, if you find out a sentence begins with a noun, then we need to also look at that whether any sentence begins with the pronoun or not. So that's called as a noun or pronoun relationship approach. If anywhere the sentence begins with the noun, then there would be another sentence which will begin with the pronoun. Right? So why? Now because pronoun is the word which is not allowing the noun to repeat. It uses in place of noun. Right? Therefore, noun comes first, pronoun comes later. Isn't it? Now this is what called as again another way of identifying introductory sentence. Right? Second format is called as when you go for the jumbled sentence question, we also look for that tone of the text. Right? So if we see that the first sentence tells the positive, the second sentence tells the positive. Now both of the sentences can be joined together by using certain additional information indicator or indicators. What are those additional information indicator or indicators? The word like and, the word like furthermore, the word like moreover, the word like to, the word like not only but also, the word like both and, isn't it? Or the word like also, the word also, or the word like even in, isn't it? Now these are the words are known as additional information indicators. Got my point? Now sometimes it happens that what some of the what we can say that paragraph questions, right, or sentences contrast to each other also, right? Now you find out one sentence which is giving nothing but the positive idea about Mr. Modi, whereas other sentence or another sentence that contrasts to Modi, right or not? In that case, what we supposed to see whether both of the sentences which are contrasting to you can say that each other, right? So does it have any kind of a word which is helping us to contradict or not? Now the words like but, the words like though, the words like although, the words like yet, the words like however, right? Or the words like means you can say that yet, isn't it? Now these are the words that generally help us to determine that the first sentence is contrasting to the second sentence, and therefore means both should be a pair. Both should be a pair, isn't it? May not be the first sentence is the introductory sentence, may not be the latter sentence is the concluding one. But because of the word that help us to determine the former one is a positive, the latter one is a negative. So we can able to make a pair, isn't it? So you can form a pair. Am I clear so far? Then now these are the tricks I am stating about, right? So because these tricks are nothing but called as a grammar, and if we have a good knowledge about the grammar, we can see that the component or elements present in the paragraph, right, help us to what? Make a kind of a connection between one with the other, right? Then the next one is called as what? Means concluding indicator. Concluding. Even sometimes what happen, we see that some sentences carry with the some concluding indicators. What are those? Now you can say finally, at last, lastly, hence, thus, or you can say at last, right? Or you talk about that what we can say that and so that, right? So in that case, these are nothing but called as a concluding indicator, right? So if you find out those concluding indicators, they help you to what? They help you to point out that the sentence you are reading is a concluding one. It is not mandatory these indicators will be given. If it is given out of the means of 4 question or 5 question, you can understand, okay, this would be the concluding one, right? Now obviously, what did I tell you? I gave you a kind of a means condition apply. What is that condition apply? That these are nothing but the tricks. Out of these tricks, you may find out some tricks are means useful, whereas the other tricks are may not necessary to use that, isn't it? So that's why. Now, am I clear with the concluding one? Right. Then we focus on what? The next one. Pair relationship approach. That also we know. Then you need to also know about cause and effect relationship. What do you mean by cause and effect relationship? Now, when we talk about cause and effect relationship, please do understand that when I say cause and effect, it means I am talking about region, conclusion, right? Cause and effect means region or conclusion, and we know that concluding indicators, right? Then we need to also know that if we have a concluding indicator, then there must be a region indicator, right? So what are those region indicators we can call? Now you can say due to, isn't it? So, or you talk about in order to, or you can say because of, right? Or you can say since, or you can say for, right? So, or you can point out as. So these are the words that generally tells us, right, or tell us that what now means these words are nothing but called as a region, right? Why do I tell about a region? Now, because when we go through the jumble sentence question, we can find out that what one sentence, right, may be the conclusion, the other sentence becomes the region of it, isn't it? And that's what we find out in the jumble sentence question, right? Then we look at the next one. The next one is called as a acronym to full form, right? What do you mean by acronym? Let's talk about it. So, which one you talk about first? Means you can say that what when Mr. Modi joined as the Prime Minister of the country, so he changed some of the institutions. He changed some of the institutions. Among them, one of the institution named Niti Aayog, right? So, among them, one of the institution named is what? That called as Niti Aayog. So, and when we talk about means Niti Aayog, what is Niti Aayog? What is Niti Aayog? So, Niti is nothing but an acronym, right? So, then after you talk about what? National Institution of Transforming India, right or not? Isn't it? Niti Aayog is what? National Institute of Transforming India. So first is what? First is acronym. Second, latter is called as a full form of it, right? So that is what called as an acronym to abbreviate full form. Similar to that, the another one also sometime it happens, right? The full name is given. Later you would find out it is referred as a short name, right? In which of the case, let's talk about the person whom you met first time. The person whom you met first time. So he will tell his full name, right or not? So let's say that the President, Mr. Barack Obama. The President, Mr. Barack Obama, has introduced means you can say that 52 bills in its in its in its in its members, right? Out of that, 42 members rejected that bill, right? So when it found out that Mr. Obama was insulted. Now, what do you find out? At first, when we introduced, we said the US President, Mr. Barack Obama, isn't it? But later, we found out what? Yeah, so Mr. Obama was insulted or offended, isn't it? So, hence, we can consider that means the full name is introduced when we talk about the first sentence or first time we meet the person, but and the second time we use that name into short. Yes or no? So these are nothing but the different ways through which we can handle the jumble sentence question. Sometimes the sentence, generic, sometimes the sentence is specific, isn't it? Now, generic and specific is also another way to identify whether the sentence is a generic one or a specific one. Sometimes it happens like you go to market and you purchase some of the grocery items, right? So, and when you come home, means your parents ask you like what are the things that you brought. You say A, B, C, D, E, F, like that, and then after you go to the next level and said that what the cost of F is very high, right? And you start discussing about F. Now what do you find out? You start with the generic, then you move to the specific, isn't it? Now in that case we cannot begin the sentence by telling the specific and then end with the generic, isn't it? So therefore generic and specific both are highly essential to understand that which one is the first, which one is the second. Am I clear to this? Okay. So let me just do one of the questions here. Yeah. Now, let's look at the first one. Right? Am I clear so far? All these things? Now, look at the question which is pointed here. Remember that vocabulary plays very important role, because if you are unable to understand the vocabulary, right? So you are unable to arrange them properly. You are unable to even you may know the tricks. Tricks will help you in some questions, but not in all, right? So no, it doesn't carry negative marking. So it's a theta-based question. Type the answer. Type the answer given the box below. Out of 24 questions, you would meet 4 questions, 4 or 6 questions which are without negative marking. Jumble sentence question, or one out questions, and also summary based question. Parasummary. Yes, parasummary based question. Yes, all these 6 questions could be considered as the non-negative marking, right? But remember that it's all depend upon the experts who prepare the questions. But as far as, or so far, we have found out all the exams last 3 to 5 years. We met like what these 6 questions are non-negative marking and also having a typo based. Got my point? Now, look into this particular question where it is clearly stated, while some draw, and yes, I was telling about the vocabulary, right? Maybe vocabulary create problems for you, but one or two vocabulary words do not make you, or 2 words do not make you in the problem, right? So because the other words associate with them, right, help you to understand the text, no? So like that, here you would find out 4 sentences are given. I just give you an example of it. While some draw parallels between celebrities and other kinds of phenomena, no one systematically relates celebrities and celebrity culture to a more general analysis of status system. Right? Now, did you understand the sentence? What does the sentence point out? Some draw while. The first one is given while. The meaning of while is called as at the same time. Now this indicates that what? This sentence is joined with another sentence which have the same idea. Right? So it is stated some draw. Now the word some also indicating out of all. Right? Out of all, it means this cannot be called as an introductory sentence. Isn't it? So while some draw parallels between celebrities and other kinds of phenomena, right? No, so it means 2 things you find out. While, which is an additional one, some, which is indicating about out of all, right? And another one is called as you are talking about whom? Celebrities, right? So now did you see that I identify keywording here, which helped me to understand? it is discussed about celebrities, right? So, and you have taken nothing but out of all some, right or not? So celebrities and other kinds of phenomena, no one systematically relates celebrities and celebrity culture to a more general analysis of status system, right? Now in that case you can say here it is stated about status system of whom? Celebrities and celebrity culture, right? So that is what it is pointed. Now in that case it is also given at the end of it that no one, it means it seems like what the author has given the judgment, right? That no one systematically relates celebrities and celebrity culture to a more general analysis of status system. Am I clear? So what are the key points that you find out? While some celebrities social system, right? And the author points out the concluding or concluding opinion here that called it a no one systematically follows. It cannot be the introductory one. It may be the conclusion. How did you draw that it may be the conclusion? Because author has given the judgment, right? So now moving to the 2, if you move to the option 2, in addition to the multitude of journalistic accounts, right? In addition to, it means it is also joining. It means somewhere it is stated more information, and with that you are saying in addition to, right? In addition to the multitude of means journalistic accounts, right? Scholars have considered celebrities from the perspective of history, cultural criticism, power elites, contemporary politics, cultural sociology, religion, and cultural studies. Isn't it? Now, what it has pointed, okay, means besides certain things I have given the information. So, the multitude of journalistic accounts, right? So, scholars have considered celebrities. Now, the first line clearly stated that journalistic account, according to the journal, they have made certain viewpoints on means celebrities, celebrity culture. But addition to that, scholars have made certain remarks, isn't it? So scholars have considered celebrities from the perspective of these are the things. Got the point? Now in that case, 2 is indicating about the journalist and scholars, right? Scholars have been introduced in option 2, right? Already been discussed. In that case, let's move to the 3. So celebrities have been analyzed a number of viewpoints. Now this begins with the introductory sentence. How do you know that? Because it begins with the noun. Yes, it is nothing but a generic information. That what is that generic information? Celebrities have been analyzed from a number of viewpoints. Got my point? So now when you say that celebrities have been analyzed from a number of viewpoints, now what are those number of viewpoints? Getting my point? So we can find out, means you have just given a kind of a statement, celebrities have been analyzed from a number of viewpoints, right? Now who have made these viewpoints, right? And second question is called as what kind of viewpoints have been made, right? So if you see that 2 is already given the idea that in addition to the multitude, because 3 and 2 is pointed about what? 3 said celebrities have been analyzed, right? A number of viewpoints, and in addition to that, what do you find out? The multitude of journalistic accounts, right? So it means we can understand journalists have made certain viewpoints on celebrities. After that, scholars have made some, right? So in that case, 3 is the introductory sentence, begins with the noun. 2 would be the next sentence, because which is pointed that who made this multitude viewpoints, right? And after that, whom have formed it? Celebrity, journalists and scholars, right? So in that case, 3 and 2 is a pair. Now after that, can we take 1? Now look at the fourth option, then after we'll go for it. Nearly all discussions at least allude to the fact. All discussion means what? Now, discussion that have been made by journalists, the discussion that have been formed by scholars, right? So nearly all discussions at least allude to the fact that celebrities are part of our status or prestige system. Part of status or prestige system. At the same time, while some draw parallel, because you pointed all discussions allude to the fact that celebrities are so and so, but at the same time, while some draw parallels between celebrities and other kinds of fact, right? So in that case, we can make a kind of a sequence that called as a 3, 2, 4, 1, isn't it?
And in the 4 also it is introduced to the scatter system of the celebrity, and in the 1
Which is a repetition, isn't it? Now please to understand linking of the language, repetition of the language, that also help you to connect one with the other, isn't it? Understood? Okay, let me help you in another example. Question number 5, right? So what does it tell about question number 5? So 5 stated that, what is your answer?
3, 4, 1,
3, 4, 1, 2. Now look into it. The question stated what? But that did not include those working or trafficked into flesh trade, as many of these people lack government approved documentation to access public funds and relief schemes. Isn't it? That is the first sentence. But that sentence begins with but, which is a contradictory one. Right. So contrast one, and what did it say? That did not include those working or trafficked into flesh trade. So those people who work who are working or trafficking, right, trafficked into flesh trade. So means include in the flesh trade cannot be or working in our flesh trade cannot be included in what? Means including something, right? So as many of these people lack government approved documentation to access public funds and relief schemes. So this indicates that they have not been given such kind of a scheme, isn't it? Or they have not been included in that scheme. Now 2 said, however, it conveniently excludes certain segments of poor people. Now if I observe option A and option B, option A is specifically referring those people who are involved in flesh trade, traffic, they are not allowed certain schemes, and 2 is stated about people who are poor, right? So it conveniently excludes certain segment of poor people, right? So it means certain section of poor people are excluded here.
Technically, people working people excluded, it's a certain segment of poor people be excluded.
Now you can't say that also, right? You can't say that because A and B are two different ideas. A said but, B also said however. Both are contrast indicator. A said that what? Here you would find out people who are including in a working or trafficked into flesh trade, they would not be allowed into certain scheme. Then 2 is called as certain poor people are excluded. Now poor people and trafficked or working people are different, isn't it? Now let's move to the 3. 3 said what? The Indian government introduced, you can say that a 22.5 billion COVID-19 relief package for the poor, right? Now look into that. Sentence 3 talks about what? Means the Indian government introduced $22.5 billion COVID-19 relief package for the poor, right? So we can say that 3 is nothing but giving a kind of a situation where Indian government distributes such an amount to the poor people. First is called as generic one, right? So then after, if you talk about 3 is stated about some amount is allotted to the poor people, right? Then 2 would be the next. Why? Now because 2 also stated about poor people. How? Now because 2 stated. However, it conveniently excluded certain segment of poor people. It means Modi distributed money to the poor people, right? But certain poor people have not received. Got the point? Now 3 and 2 are paired to each other. Why? Because 3 talks about poor, 2 talks about poor too. Isn't it? Now 4, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced that $6.66 or 500 rupees would be deposited to the bank account of 200 million people every month. Does it talk about poor people? No, it talks about that certain amount will be allotted to the poor people. Certain amount will be allotted to the 200 million people every month. Isn't it? Got my point? Now, in that case, 1 should be the next because but that did not include those who are working or trafficked. So it means 1 is not poor, right? And 4 is also not talking about the poor people. Got the point? Now in that case, first then we understood that 4 1 and 3 2. But which one will come first? Whether 3 comes first or 4 comes first? 3 will come first. Why? Because government does something for the poor people, right? Then Mr. Modi does something for the 200 million people, isn't it? So in that case, 3 2 4 1 would be the correct sequence. Am I clear? Hope you understood this. Okay. The other answers which I would like to give you is called as 2431. Second question number 2.
would you 4 3 4 1 से भी बात kind of meaningful kind of problem होची तो meaning भी अच्छी
linking of the language that I told you.
See how to put it directly.
Then how did you do the mistake? Right. Now question number 2. Question number 2 is 2431. If you have a doubt, ask me. Question number 3 would be 1432. So question number 4 would be 3241. Question number 4 though? Okay. Question number 5 is 3241. Okay. So these 5 questions you did. Okay. So you have a doubt in question number 4. Right. Now try to understand how it all started. One said technological change is an evolutionary process. It tells about what? Technological change. So what is that? It is an evolutionary process. Very much like biological change is an evolutionary process. Now don't you think that when you read this sentence makes a kind of a comparison. You are talking about technological change and biological change, isn't it? So what do you call to this? This is nothing but an analogy. Right. So when you would find out a kind of a comparison. Right. Now 2 said what? In many people, narratives invention is an act performed by heroes such as Thomas Edison and Tim Berners-Lee. In many popular narrative means in many popular stories, invention is an act performed by heroes such as Thomas Edison and Tim Berners-Lee. Now what is the key point in this? The key point is called as invention, and you have taken the example of 2 people, isn't it? So then you would find out what drives technological change. Right. Now 3 is putting a question. What motivates technological change? Right? What drives technological change? So here it is putting a question before us. 4. In reality, technological change comes about. Now look into it, the first phrase, in reality. It means the other things are nothing but a kind of a means artificial or called as a not reality. In reality or in actual practical field, technological change comes about through an incremental process that involves a great deal of trial and error and networks of people working in ecosystem of innovation. Isn't it? Now in that case, if you observe 1 and 4 or 4 and 1 and 4, both are trying to define technological change. Right? So 4 stated in reality technological change is what? Right? So and 1 stated about technological change is this, right? Evolutionary process which is comparing with the biological change. In that case, 4 and 1 indicates about the thought about what is technological change. Am I clear? So 4 and 1 is a pair, so keep aside. Now once you make 4 and 1 is the pair, now we have other two options. Now in that case, 3 would be the beginning one because it puts a question. Now see that if you go with the 2 as the beginning, 2 stated what? In many popular narratives. It means somebody is trying to define that means in many popular stories. Let's say that you put a question before me, right? So I start with the what? I start with making you understand that in stories, invention is an act performed by heroes like so and so, right? So in reality, in stories, in reality, did you find out that in stories, in reality? So in that case, before 4, 1 should come because 1 stated about the stories and 4 stated about in reality. So in that case, 2, 4 and 1, what are they trying to do? They are trying to define the question which is asked. Right? What is that question? What drives technological change? Right? So to get the information out of it, we need to know that technological change, according to the many popular stories, invention is an act. Right? Then in reality, technological change comes about through an incremental process. Then you talk about it is an evolutionary process. Isn't it? Okay. Next. Am I clear so far? Okay. Okay. I'll tell you all these things, but first, okay. Write down the answers. But not in this. Not in this. Why do I tell you not in this? Because you will be influenced, isn't it? Now, coming to the question number 6, that should be 4132. 7, it's a 2143, right? And 8 is what? That's something called as a 25341. Then 9 is 43521, right? 10 is 31452, right? Now 11 to 15, huh? Yeah. Do you find out anything here? No, understand one thing here, that called it when we talk about summary based questions, we need to know that how we handle the summary based questions, right? Now para summary is the kind of a question, so you would find out that choice based and without choice also sometimes, right? So in that case, what is para summary? Now para summary is nothing but a kind of a question types where it is told the students to go for what? Means they need to read the text, read the original text. On the basis of the original text, so what they need to do? Now they need to write all the main points, key points, right? All the main points or key points, and they need to write that in their own language, right? So another is called as the summary that they write is nothing but one third of the original text. One third of the original text means if the original text is 80 words, your summary would be 8 to 10 words, right? Or 8 to 15 words. So that is why it is known as a one third of the original text. So, but when you supposed to write, what means summary. But when you need to choose the summary, what you will follow? You follow the same process, but you need to see that in options, right? Four things you need to focus in the options while you are going for the parasummary. What are those four things? The first thing is called as that your summary given in the choices are not carrying lack of information. What do you mean by lack of information? Yeah, that's something called as all the main points must be contained in your summary, right? So that is why if it is not there, then it is known as a lack of information, right? Second one is what? Second one is known as excessive information, right? So it means whatever the main points are given in the passage, right? So no, they are written, but beside that, you have also given those of the points which are not necessary or information which are taken from the outside information, outside text, isn't it? Now in that case, this is known as extra information and excessive information. Understood? Extra information. Understand that the text stated about Niti Aayog, but you talk about nothing but income tax department into it. So don't you think that you are going or you are distracting the main idea, isn't it? So and income tax information is not even given in your text or question, isn't it? So if it is not given in your text, then how would you take it into, right? So that is what known as extra information shall not be given in your choice. And another one is called as excessive information, right? Excessive and extra information. Beside extra or excessive information, what else you need to see? That your summary shall not contain any examples, right? Quotes, examples, quotes, or you can talk about idioms, phrases, right? Analogical information. Analogy means what? You are talking about government, and another paragraph is given about Mahabharata and trying to make a comparison between them. But your main idea is called as a government, not about Mahabharata. So Mahabharata is given for the sake of what? Making an analogy, right? Making an analogy. So hence, you shall not carry that information, Mahabharata information, into your summary, isn't it? Examples will not be there, idioms and phrases will not be there, and analogy should not be there, right? So sometimes it happens, sometimes, not always, or rarely you would find out there will be any kind of a grammatical errors are there, right? Beside that, sometimes it also happens means your summary contains all the main points, right? So except one of the main point is missing. So in that case, it is highly essential to make a comparison between choices, comparison among the choices, right? Let's look into this. Here, what do you find out? Here you would find out 4 choices are given, isn't it? So out of that 4 choices, we need to observe what the passage is all about and how B will be the appropriate one, isn't it? Now, look into the sentence. What does it say, the text say? When education fails to keep pace with technology, speed with technology, the result is inequality, right? Without the skills to stay useful as innovations arrive, workers suffer, and if enough of them fall behind, society starts to fall apart. That fundamental insight seized reformers in the Industrial Revolution, heralding state-funded universal schooling, latter automation in factories and offices called forth a surge in college graduates, right? So the combination of education and innovation spread over decades led to remarkable flowering of prosperity. Right. Now in that case, you find out the paragraph. Right. Now what this paragraph is trying to tell us?
Education and skill both are equal.
Education fails to keep pace with technology. Means technology goes very fast. Right. So and why it's so? It is because of the inequality. Right or not?
Education or lack of innovation.
So in that case, if you look into the options, so what B says? Now B says that innovation without education, right, leads to a disintegration of society. That called as a separation of society. How do you draw that? Now it is stated without the skills to stay useful as innovations arrive, workers suffer, and if enough of them fall behind, society starts to fall apart. Fall apart means disintegration, right? So the realization prompted what you can say that the reformers of the Industrial Revolution to establish state-funded schools and eventually automation in factories, and that are led to rise in college graduates. This combination of education and innovation resulted in a significant rise in prosperity. Now, in that case, we can find out the argument is given. That argument is what? Means how education fails to keep pace with technology, and that happens because of inequality. Then you talk about the kind of ideas without the skills to stay useful as innovations arrive. Right. Without the skills to stay useful as innovations arrive, workers suffer. And if enough of them fall behind, how societies falling apart. That fundamental insight seized reformers in the Industrial Revolution, right, and heralding state-funded universal schooling later. Automation in factories and offices called forth a surge in college graduates. The combination of education and innovation spread over decades led to a remarkable flowering of prosperity. So if you observe that it is also stated about that this combination of education and innovation resulted in a significant rise in prosperity. It means it begins with the inequality, ends with the prosperity, which are nothing but the part of the main text. Right? Now if I observe which answer you chose? Okay, so look at the option D. What does it say? The realization that skilled workers with the requisite educational qualifications are required to keep pace with the changing technological scenario, right? So prompted the reformers of the Industrial Revolution to establish schools and colleges, which in turn led to an increase in the number of college graduates, and which in turn led to overall prosperity. But if you see that the paragraph stated about innovation, right? The paragraph starts talking about inequality. Does the paragraph or does the option D indicate about inequality? It did not, right? It did not tell about the means inequality. So it only tells about that what we supposed to do, right? It is a kind of a means suggestion you can point out there here, isn't it? Got my point?
Also showing inequality.
Which one?
Option C also.
Having realized that a nation cannot prosper without education, the reformers of the Industrial Revolution established state-funded schools in college graduates, and the unique combination of education and innovation spread over decades led to a significant rise in prosperity. Now, you also did not discuss about. Simple. That's the reason we can eliminate option A. Yeah. Understood? So that is what you need to focus. Now question number 12, option B. 13 is It's option C. 14 is option B. 15 is option D. Right. So all have made correct, right? Very good. Right. Next. Question number 16. It's A. 17 is a B. 18 is A. 19 is a D. 20 is B. B, Bombay. Right. Now 21 to 25 are the missing sentence question. Right. So this is like a para completion question, or you can say that what? Fill in the blanks. Right. But in fill in the blanks, what do you find out? You find out word. One word, multiple word, or sorry, you can say single blank, or maybe double blank, or multiple one. Right. So but here you would find out a sentence is given which has to fixed in the any of the blank out of the four. So in fill in the blanks we find out words are given as an option, right? Isn't it? So here you would find out blanks are given, right? In which blank the word should fit. So my first job is what? When I find out this, and definitely you would find out two questions from this missing sentence. Two means question from means two questions in the CAT exams. Definitely, sure. Right. So in that case, what you supposed to do? You supposed to do nothing but the sentence is given above, right, and the paragraph is given. So when we go for such kind of a question, our priority is called that we read the sentence carefully to understand what